Hey guys, I'm Ronan Time HD, your host, and welcome to the first episode of Whatever Happens Next, a Monty Python series where I'm going to quickly review the Monty Python filmography and maybe a few Flying Circus episodes that I like. And this time we are featuring Squirrel Girl, who will be talking about the movie alongside my takes, and she will have her takes. Yeah.
Hi everyone, I'm Squirrel Girl, and I'm a big fan of video games. I'm super excited to be here, with Ronan HD. And I'm honestly a bit nervous, to be honest. This is my first time of my face being viewed on camera, but here we go.
Well, today we are reviewing Monty Python and the Holy Grail, a classic absurdist comedy made by the British comedy group Monty Python, who 50% of them are on the ground, but the other 50%, they're still alive, mostly. But anyway, this came out in 1975, and it's about, well, the Holy Grail, and a take on the tale of the Holy Grail in a comedic setting with a lot of absurdist comedy. So, it's definitely very dry humor, but I like that. I think I find it very funny. Some people may not find it as funny as I do, but I find it very funny. What do you think about the movie, in general? What do you think about it?
Well, to be honest with you all, I didn't really find a lot of the scenes funny. Every time something funny that I want to laugh at, pretty much I had to force myself to laugh at some of the scenes, even the memeable scenes like "'Tis but a flesh wound" is pretty I try to force myself to laugh. The only parts, the one part that stood out to me was funny was pretty much where the guards are pretty much confused at one point in the movie from what the king was saying to them. Originally, he said stay in the room and don't let him out until I come back in. And the guards were pretty much confused. But overall, most of the scenes, to me, weren't really that funny. Yeah. And some of the scenes, I feel were kind of boring.
Why would you say? Why would you say that they were boring? What do you find boring in the Holy Grail exactly?
Well, I guess jokes that I miss, or when the story, there are certain parts of the story where it kind of goes really long on, the seductress scene and the story where the prince is being married off against his own will. Those were pretty boring to watch, and I pretty much thought to myself, oh boy, when are these scenes gonna end?
Well, Monty Python isn't just in-your-face humor. It can also be subtle, so maybe you just, as you said, didn't get it, which is totally fine. But I would say the opposite. I found every scene engaging. And when I watched it, I just was really into it, and the ending was really exciting until they got arrested, and then it was funny. I was confused at first, then I found it hilarious when I got the point, because I didn't find it funny at first. But then after a little while, I found it funny. Because I think sometimes that's how Monty Python works.
I just didn't really find the, ending as much exciting. The part, I know there's, a climax, but then... And the movie ends.
Well, really, there wasn't a climax. It was building up a climax, then there wasn't. They got arrested, and that was it. The climax was they were going to fight the French guys. But then, it didn't happen. They just get arrested by the police, and then it ends. There is no climax.
There's... But I know this is a typical stereotype, but I really, the only part I didn't really like about it is how the French were portrayed. They were portrayed, I know, they're usually portrayed in a stereotype to be rude, but not all French people are rude, so, yeah, I didn't like how the French were portrayed in this.
I don't have an opinion on the French. Sadly, I do not have an opinion on the French. In the portrayal, I think it's obviously a stereotype and all that. But honestly, I've actually studied a little bit, and the history bits, it's what are you doing here in England? Mind your own business. As a little bit of historical thing, because wasn't, the French invading a little bit of England at that point? Weren't they?
Yeah.
So, if you know a bit of history, you could find a bit of it funny. It's not just in your face humor, like I said earlier. I think the portrayal of the French is just kind of an example of Monty Python's, in my opinion, brilliant writing because of how they can turn a stereotype into something funny, which not every comedy group or comedian can do well. And I think Monty Python was able to pull it off, in my personal opinion. No. I don't find it offensive like she did. But personally, I don't know anybody French. So, yeah.
My favorite part of the movie, probably the only scene I found really funny, with the guard scene. And I just found it a little silly, even though I didn't laugh at most of it. It was just a little funny.
I would say I like a lot of the scenes in this movie. Yeah, I think my all-time favorite scene in the movie. I have a lot of scenes that I like, but I think my all-time favorite scene was when Lancelot just went into into a castle and just murdered everybody. It was fucking hilarious, and I just laughed my ass off for a long time. Because it was just... He was running up that hill for 10 minutes, and then he finally just stabbed the guy, and then the other guard was just hey, come back here. He just was hey. And then he just ran in, ha, ha. It was great. Honestly, it's great movie. So the movie, should you start?
Yeah. So we see King Arthur and this guy behind him playing the coconuts as if he was riding a horse, and King Arthur's making a galloping motion, as if he was riding a horse. But I guess they couldn't afford horses in the movie, which, it adds to the comedic value.
Yeah, maybe they just did it for comedic effect. Maybe they could afford horses, but they didn't need horses.
And for some reason, King Arthur just goes up to a random castle, not conquered by the French.
He is King Arthur. He can do whatever he wants, right?
I honestly forget what he asked the guy, but I think he asked the guy, something about...
The Holy Grail?
Not the...
No, he's he always tells people, I'm on a quest for the Holy Grail, doesn't he? Right?
Well, couple minutes into the movie, they decided, and hey, we're on a quest for the Holy Grail.
Well, I mean, he didn't decide it from the beginning of the movie. He was on a quest for the Holy Grail, right? Yeah, animated Terry Gilliam God is like, he's not played by Terry Gilliam, but he's drawn like Terry Gilliam art style. Like, he's like, you must find the Holy Grail. Like, he tells them you must find the Holy Grail. Like, not for no reason. I mean, they have a reason. God told them to find it. If God told you to find something, wouldn't you go try and find it?
I mean, to be honest, yeah, but if it leads to, like, dangerous stuff happening...
I mean, hey, you have God's protection, right? I mean, he would probably protect you, right?
Okay.
He wouldn't just watch you in amusement. That's totally something God wouldn't do. He totally loves you. He doesn't want you to do his dirty work.
All right. So, then we head into a scene where it's like... what I can assume is like a plague is going on, and this one guy has a cart of
bodies. Yeah, because that happened, the Black Plague, right? Black Plague.
And he's yelling, "Bring out your dead!"
Because that's what they would do. That was real. Like, back in the day, they would bring out their dead because people would just keep dying from the plague, and they would just put them in carts and dump them in giant pits. That's real. That actually happened back in the day with the Black Plague. It was that bad. That they would just, every morning, they would be, bring out your dead, and they would bring out dead bodies. It was obviously in a more comedic sense, and exaggerated, but yeah, that's real. That's historical.
So, pretty much, Arthur rides in and out of the scene, like, nothing really happened, you know. He also meets these two random people before he runs into, like, what I can assume is the Blue Knight. I forget the name, but during one of the scenes, it was like a witch trial, and people were like, witches are made of wood. What floats? And King Arthur says, a duck! And, pretty much they weigh a lady and a duck, and somehow the lady is lighter than the duck or heavier than the duck. Can't quite remember, but...
I mean, it would make sense if she was heavier than the duck.
I think in the movie they weighed the same, actually.
Yeah, they weigh the same. I mean, that would make sense, because then if she's a duck, then she's a witch.
And then we get a memeable scene.
The Black Knight.
Yeah. And Arthur's, like, battling the Black Knight and the Black Knight.
It's like, you have no arms. You cannot fight. Scratch.
I have legs, though.
I will kick you.
Kick, 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 kick.
I actually remember there was a play. I watched there's actually been like school plays of Monty Python and the Holy Grail, which kind of surprised me. But there was like a school play, and they actually had like an amputee kid play the Black Knight. Like, it was a real amputee kid, which I think is neat. Like, he had like one of his arms with a sword, but like he was amputee here, and here.
Cool.
I like that. That was neat. Oh, we have it's a 2-second intermission.
So pretty much we get a list of the knights, then, and all of a sudden God shows up and says, "Hey, you must find the Holy Grail." You know?
I mean, it's a way to get the story going. I mean, how else would they try to find the Holy Grail?
So they all split up for some reason. The Green Knight...
I mean, they have to split up to cover more ground so that they can find the Holy Grail. I mean, if they were all just looking in one spot, then it would take much more time.
So the Green Knight meets up with this three-headed knight with a bunch of
No, the Knights Who
bards.
Say Ni. Isn't it the Knights Who Say Ni?
No, that's King Arthur and the Blue Knight.
No, the Knights Who Say Ni are the three-headed knights, right? Isn't that the Knights Who Say Ni?
No.
No, the Knights Who Say Ni were the big, tall guys, right?
Yeah.
The big, tall guys. Who were the three-headed knights? Like, I remember them, but what did they do?
I can't...
Just one of the many tasks and tribulations they have to go through to find the Grail.
So, pretty much, while the three-headed knight is distracted, the Green Knight runs away, and the bard is like singing, and da 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 ran away, and the Green Knight is like, I did not run away, and another knight, a red knight, I guess, pretty much, he gets seduced by these, seductresses after seeing what he thinks was the Holy Grail. Well, and pretty much one of the knights saves him, but he's like, no, I want to go back. I'm fine. So pretty much, as Ronan HD said earlier, there was a scene where, a king was, forcefully having his son married off. Luckily, the son gets saved and the king gets defeated. It pretty much, after King Arthur and his friend find a shrubbery, they defeat the Knights of Ni, who they met earlier in the story, with the word it. Or that. Can't quite remember. So, at one point they met the French. So, they also meet a wizard who, tells them about the most dangerous thing ever, and it's a killer bunny.
Yeah, and then they get out the holy hand grenade, and they blow up the bunny.
So they go through the caves, find a clue, what I can assume, meet a monster, get chased by the monster.
In the Terry Gilliam art style.
And pretty much they get lucky because the animator suffers a heart attack, and, they get away. So they soon find a bridge and see a random guy they met earlier in the story. So, 2 of the 5 knights get killed. The random guy gets killed. One of the knights gets arrested.
No, do you mean...
searched, Do
you mean the narrator gets killed?
Well, the narrator does get killed at one point.
That's pretty important to mention, because that's the whole build-up to the ending of the movie.
So, pretty much, King Arthur and the Blue Knight go looking for the castle. They find it, realize it's been conquered by the French. All of a sudden, this army of knights shows up, and as they're, getting close to the castle, they get stopped by the police.
And then they get arrested, and then the movie ends.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is a very long and very descriptive, synopsis, and that is the movie, yes. And yeah, that is what happens. I think we did skip a few parts for time, but yeah. Do you have any? Do you want to say the rating now? Final thoughts rating?
Well, I wouldn't really recommend this movie. I mean, I wouldn't say it was bad, but it had a lot of almost dark humor, I guess. So I'd say I'd give it a 5 out of 10, I feel neutral about it.
Well,
I feel like, based on your description of the movie, though, it sounds like you really enjoyed it.
to be honest, it just seems like you're just trying to find a reason to not like it.
Yeah.
Do you like it or not? Is it more of a 7 out of 10? Because that's more of
I think I'm in the neutral territory.
So you, are undecided.
Yeah.
Alright. Honestly, I would recommend this film for fans of absurdist humor, fans of Monty Python, obviously, but you've probably already seen it if you're a fan of Monty Python. But if you just like absurdist humor, if you like good comedies, if you just like funny movies, I think this is for you. Also, even if you like The Tale of the Holy Grail, I think you get some entertainment out of this. from its take on the story of the Holy Grail. And I would rate this film an 8 out of 10. Alright, so guys, I've been Run on Time HD.
And I've been Squirrel Girl.
And I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you like it. Subscribe. Tell me how much you liked it in the comments. Don't forget to check out Squirrel Girl's channel here. I'll leave it down in the description. And you know, hope you enjoyed this video. I've been Run on Time HD.
And I've been Squirrel Girl.
And signing off. See you on the next episode of whatever.
Bye.
Of whatever. That's not what it's called. Say that again.
See you on the next episode of whatever happens next, which I don't know which movie I'll be reviewing, but hopefully, yeah, it's gonna be good. Whatever.
You would have been the perfect way to end this episode.
If
Is
we
if
had
we
a-
could have had anybody dressed up as a cop to come in and arrest the two of you and walk you out.
That would have been great, but
We don't have a
didn't
cop
think of that.
outfit, do you, Jared?
You've got a sailor's hat.
Does it look like a cop? You got a fake badge?
I do. Yeah, my.
Yeah.
All right, that's the video.
Nice job.
All right.